Hi everyone, welcome to Vinyasa Flow Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. For this hip opening practice, specifically external rotation of the thighs at the hips, let's begin in Sukhasana, which means easy pose. And as you're sitting up and trying to turn out the thighs in front of you, if you find that your knees are uncomfortably lifting away from the floor, grab something that you can sit on, like a block or pillow or a folded blanket, and elevate your pelvis, sit towards the front edge of that object so that your pelvis slightly tilts forward. Now, in this practice today, let's try to get the knees about hips width distance apart, maybe closer, so not too wide apart, which will encourage even more external rotation or turn out of the thighs. All right, take a moment to ground. Literally feel what you're sitting on and press your weight down to the left and right sitting bones. I wanted to talk a little bit about yoga psychology and actually reference one of my textbooks from my training by Ashley Turner called Foundations of Yoga Psychology. And you might remember that the second Yoga Sutra and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali defines yoga as the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. And in Sanskrit, it's called Yoga Chittas Vritti Nirodha. And Chittas is one of the four functions of the mind, which is what I want to talk about today. So calming of the fluctuations of the mind. Antarkarana is the word that means four functions of the mind. Chitta comprises the entire system of the mind. The sensory action organs are named manas, and buddhi represents the higher conscious mind of discernment. The ego sense of self is called ahamkara and is the active unconscious mind, while the latent imprints or unconscious tendencies are called samskaras. And the breath is viewed as a bridge regulating the external sensory world and internal subjective experience. How's this related to yoga? Swami Shivananda said, understand the mind, study the mind, and know this machinery well, and know also how to manage it. The goal of yoga, of a yogi, is to diligently observe those four functions of the mind, to uncolor, it's called aklishta, to uncolor, strengthen, and refine antarkarana, the four functions of the mind, through concentration, that's one of the limbs of yoga called dharana, meditation, seventh limb of yoga called dhyana, selflessness, it's putting the ego aside and thinking of the universal consciousness, and that can be called karma yoga, and non-attachment, vairagya, which is an essential component of our physical yoga practice. The physical asanas, the poses themselves, are a balance of steady focused action or effort with ease or non-attachment, letting go, right? Not just one, not just the other. It's the harmony of the two that creates these postures that we also call yoga asana. So back to that Yoga Sutra 1.2, yoga is the cessations of the fluctuations of the mind. Here is a quote from the ancient text, Katha Upanishad. Know thou the soul, Atman, as riding in a chariot. The body is the chariot. Know thou the intellect, buddhi, as the chariot driver, and the mind, manas, as the reins. The senses, they say, are the horses, the object of sense, what they range over. The self, combined with senses and mind, wise men call the enjoyer. He who has not understanding, whose mind is constantly held firm, his senses, or is not, whose mind is not constantly held firm, his senses are uncontrolled like the vicious horses of a chariot driver. He, however, who has understanding, whose mind is constantly held firm, his senses are under control, like the good horses of a chariot driver. He, however, who has not understanding, who is unmindful and ever impure, reaches not the goal, but goes on to reincarnation. He, however, who has understanding, who is mindful and ever pure, reaches the goal from which he is born no more. He, however, who has the understanding of a chariot driver, a man who reigns in his mind, he reaches the end of his journey, that highest place of Vishnu. Higher than the senses are the objects of sense. Higher than the objects of sense is the mind, manas. And higher than the mind is the intellect, buddhi. Higher than the intellect is the great self, Atman, soul. So let's prepare the body to sit, connecting with that deeper inner consciousness, watching and taking the reins of the mind by starting by taking the reins of our body and our senses and our focus. Sitting still, you might close your eyes and now start to scan your body mentally, observing whatever sensations you're experiencing. As you let the breath flow naturally, notice the sensations it brings. And through that, now observe your energetic state of being. Now bring your awareness to the mind and its activity right at this present moment, feeling its busyness or calmness, noticing how the content of thoughts that pass through also affect your emotional state. Now noticing your mental, emotional body. Call to mind something that you can feel gratitude for in this moment. Maybe join your palms together at your heart. Using gratitude, let's empower your intention for your practice today. What's one thing you'd like to focus your energy, your attention on? And then setting aside the ego self, who's someone or something you care about, to dedicate this practice to. Let's inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, preparing to chant 3 ohms. Inhale again. Start to deepen your breath with the lips closed and softly narrowing the back of your throat, using the pranayama or breathing tool to help calm the fluctuations of the mind. Ujjayi pranayama. So creating a gentle whispering sound as you breathe through the nose, evenly and sustained in and out. Use that sound as an anchor for your attention, bringing it back to the present moment repeatedly throughout this practice. And keeping that sound rhythm going, gently open your eyes if they're closed. And let's meet standing at the top of your mat. You may want to have a couple of blocks in front of your mat. Separate your feet at least hips width apart and parallel to each other. And take your hands behind your back to clasp or hold a strap between the hands. Rolling the shoulders down, inhale, lift your chest. Bend your knees generously, and as you exhale, bow from your hips, tilting your weight as far forward as you can balance, dropping your head, relax your neck. Keep the breath going as we stay in a standing forward fold or Uttanasana a few more breaths. As you drop your head, soften the back of your neck, relax your jaw, and with your elbows slightly bent, extend the arms forward away from the lower back. Lifting the shoulder bones up and away from the neck. Maybe play with switching the interlacing of the thumb and index finger on top. See if that feels any different in your shoulders. Or stretch into the backs of the legs a little more by straightening one leg and leaning your torso to the outside of it. And then switching sides. Keeping the breath rhythm going, bend both knees and lower your fingertips in front of you on blocks through the ground. Firming in the belly, inhale, lengthen your spine like a flat back parallel to the floor. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow over your legs. Press down to your feet and inhale, sweep your arms forward, rising to stand. Reaching the arms overhead as you roll the triceps forward, shoulders down, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, join your palms at your sternum in Padasana. Bring back your intention. Feel it in the way you're standing and breathing right now. Creating the bhavanam or feeling tone of it already happening in the present moment. Let's flow with that feeling through our first series of Surya Namaskar, sun salutations. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Create a gentle back bend by tilting your chest up. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Lower your fingertips on the ground. Inhale, step your left knee back to a kneeling lunge and look up. Holding your breath, step into your plank pose. As you exhale, lower your knees, then your chest, then chin, sticking the tailbone up, hug the elbows to your ribs. Inhale, slither your belly to the ground into a gentle cobra, tops of the feet firming down as you coil your chest up. Exhale, press the ground away and lift your pelvis back into downward facing. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb, lower your back knee and look up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise into Urdhva Hastasana, again with a back bend. Exhale, join your hands at your hearts. Side two, inhale, sweep your arms overhead, drop the shoulders back. Exhale, fold Uttanasana. Lower your fingertips, inhale, step your right knee back and look up, Anjaneyasana. Hold your breath as you step to plank. Exhale, lower your knees, chest and chin in Ashtangasana, a back bend. Inhale, slide to the floor and roll the shoulders back, Bhujangasana, cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift the pelvis into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb, lower your back knee, look up. Exhale, step the left foot forward and fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, roll the shoulders back and down. Exhale, join your hands at your hearts. Moving on to our second sun salutation series. Inhale, arms forward, roll your shoulders down. Exhale, fold from your hips. This time, press down with your fingertips. Inhale, lengthen forward to Ardha Uttanasana. And as you exhale, step to plank and glide forward. Hug your elbows to your ribs through Chaturanga Dandasana. Either lower to Cobra again or flip the toes from there into upward facing dog. Then exhale, lift your hips high and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's spend about 5 deep breaths here. Move your body if you need to in your own way, like pedaling your feet in place to help warm up the backs of your legs. Or maybe swiveling the hips left and right as you do that. Shaking or nodding the head. Spread your fingers wide and flat, where your index fingers are either pointing straight ahead or slightly turned out. Spread the shoulder blades across your upper back by rotating your triceps to face the floor. And then drop your head, soften the neck, and let's listen to 2 more deep breaths. When you hear the end of the second exhalation, then walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. Uttanasana. Press down with your hands. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale again, Uttanasana. Root down to your feet. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana with a back bend. Exhale, Padasana, hands at the heart. Let's keep going with this series. 2 more rounds. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Gaze up. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, lengthen forward. Either step to plank, glide forward, or float into Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale into Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhale into Downward Facing Dog. This time, let's stay still for 3 deep breaths. As you lift your hips high, press your sitting bones back and root down through your heels, even if they're not touching the ground. Steady your gaze, your drishti on one spot, as a way to focus your mind. When you hear the 3rd exhale finish, then walk or float to the top of your mat. Once there, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Padasana, once more. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, great breathing. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank to lower or float lightly to Chaturanga Dandasana. Lower all the way for Bhujangasana or inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale the hips back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, pausing, steadying your gaze for 3 breaths. So through the physical postures of yoga, we practice concentration. Though it's a vinyasa-filled class, there definitely are moments of stillness. When you finish the 3rd exhale, walk or float to the top. There, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Padasana. Now let's bring the feet together to touch, entering our 3rd series of sun salutations, preparing for chair pose. So start with the hands at the heart. Empty this breath as you slow it down. And again to the breath, inhale, bend your knees together to touch, sit low in chair or Utkatasana. Exhale, shift your weight forward and bow from your hips. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or float to Chaturanga, taking it through your Vinyasa at your pace of breath. Arriving at Downward Facing Dog. Keep your hips leveled in height as you inhale to raise your right leg back. Lift the belly high as you exhale to softly step the foot beside your right thumb, dropping the back heel. Facing forward, inhale, rise to Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Then ride your exhale down to finish your Vinyasa. At Downward Facing Dog, keep your hips squared again. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale, lift your belly high to gently step the foot beside your left thumb, dropping the right heel. Facing forward, inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower into your Vinyasa. At Downward Facing Dog, let's pause again in stillness, steadying our focus. 3 deep breaths. Pressing your chest gently towards your shins as you hug in the front bottom ribs. Finishing the 3rd exhale, after, walk or lightly jump your feet together to touch at the front of your mat. There, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. With knees touching, inhale, sit low again in Utkatasana chair. Then exhale, rise up, Padasana. Last round of this sun salutation. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or flow into your Vinyasa. As much as you can, follow your breath pace. When you arrive at downward dog, inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale the foot beside your right thumb, drop the back heel. Inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower into your Vinyasa. Continue to side 2 when you arrive at downward dog. Breathing in to lift and breathing out to lower. When you arrive again at downward facing, pause for 3 breaths. Re-steadying, rebalancing, listening to the breath. When you finish the 3rd, walk or float to the top of your mat. There, with feet touching, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. With knees touching, inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, Padasana. Let's separate the feet hips distance or wider again, parallel to each other. And this time bring your hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders back and down. Breathe in, look up. Exhale, hinge from your hips. Take any variation of a forward fold you choose. Whether you clasp your big toes, hold opposite elbows and sway the spine. Stretch the outer wrists by stepping on your palms face up. Softening your face. You might flutter the lips a few times. Then choose to either take a vinyasa or step directly to downward facing dog. At downward facing dog, keep your 2 hips leveled in height again. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, like cat pose, see if you can kiss your right knee before you step the foot forward beside your right thumb. Lower your back knee, untuck the back toes. Separate your legs hips width apart with your right knee directly on top of your right heel. Then isometrically scissor your legs to each other as you root to your feet and rise up, Anjaneyasana. Let's go a little deeper into opening the left hip flexors. So as you sink your pelvis towards the ground, lift your frontal hip bones slightly towards your lowest front ribs. So you're not tilting the pelvis forward and leaning the belly on the front thigh. Keep drawing the right hip back and lift the back ribs. Open up the lower back. Then roll the front of your shoulders behind you and press the shoulders down as you tilt your heart and gaze up. Maybe the palms come together. 3 more breaths. Tuck your back toes. You might choose to place your hands on the floor. And then spin your left heel down, align right heel to arch of left foot, entering Warrior 2. With arms wide open, steady your gaze just past your right fingertips. Let's pause and breathe here. As you bend your right knee just above the heel, rotate your right outer hip underneath your body. Firm the top of your left thigh bone back and stack your shoulders right above your hips. Virabhadrasana 2. Let's prepare for Trikonasana, triangle pose. Straighten your right leg and glide your hips sideways towards the rear edge of your mat. Reach your right hand horizontally forward past your right knee before placing that hand just to the right side of your right shin on a block or the floor. Firming your right arm against your outer right shin, Raise your left arm up and spin your chest slightly to face the sky. Maybe you gaze up past the left thumb. Steady your gaze where you choose and tack the crease of your right hip back towards your left outer foot. Send the shoulder blades down your back ribs. Lengthen the top of your head forward towards the front wall. Gaze down at the floor just ahead of your right toes, and let's shift forward into half moon pose. Crawl your right hand about 6 inches forward of your right pinky toe out to the right corner, and drag your left foot forward. Flexing it off the floor, turn your chest to face the left wall again, recreating the shape of triangle pose, balancing on one leg. Now, to prepare us for our later parts of this practice, see if it's available for you to practice a standing sideways bow, or Ardha Chandra Chapasana. Bending the left knee towards your belly, catch the top of your left foot with your left hand, kick the left foot towards the rear wall while pulling it towards your glute. Lengthening your left quadricep and opening up into the left hip flexors. As you open the front of the left shoulder, maybe gaze up. Whatever variation you're in, let's continue practicing mental focus. One more deep breath. Take your time stepping back. If your left knee is bent, straighten the leg, keep flexing the foot. Then gently land Warrior Two. And for one inhale, Peaceful Warrior, sweep the right arm towards your back wall. Exhale your hands to the floor, either take a Vinyasa or step directly to Downward Facing Dog. And your Vinyasa could also look like cat-cow. Remember, you have options as you're taking care of yourself and listening to your body. Rest whenever you need to. When you do arrive at Downward Facing Dog, again, a couple more breaths there. Slow the breath down. Listen to its qualities. Keeping your hips leveled. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Lifting the belly high, see if you can kiss the left knee as you step the foot beside your left thumb. Lower the back knee. Energetically scissor your legs as you rise into Anjaneyasana, a kneeling lunge. With left knee stacked above the left heel, sink your pelvis and lift your frontal hip bones. Lift your back ribs and peel the fronts of your shoulders back. Dropping the shoulder blades, gaze up and lift your heart. Maybe join the palms. 3 more deep breaths here. Tuck your right toes, or maybe you place the hands on the ground to help you transition. Spin the right heel down, align left heel to arch of right foot, and open your arms to Warrior Two. Land your eyes with intention, just past the left hand. Bending your left knee just over the heel. Rotate your left outer hip under your body and firm the top of your right thigh bone back. Feel how you're balancing effort or steady focus with non-attachment and ease. 2 more breaths in Virabhadrasana 2. Preparing for triangle pose, straighten your left leg and glide your hips sideways towards your rear wall. Reach your left hand past your left knee before placing it on the left side of your shin. Pressing against the shin as you rotate your chest slightly to face the sky. Steady your eyes on one point. And as you remember your intention you set for your practice, let it affect the way you're holding yourself up here now. Create the feeling tone through the way you're breathing. Let your limbs and spine expand in all directions as we continue to half moon pose. Gaze at the ground ahead of your left foot. Crawl your left fingertips about 6 inches ahead and out to the left corner. Drag your right foot in, flex it off the floor, and turn your chest to the right, stacking your shoulders over your left wrist. Find one focal point for your eyes and rebalance the breath. Let the body follow suit in balance. If you practice the standing sideways bow of Ardha Chandra Chapasana, bend your right knee towards your belly and catch the top of the foot. As you kick the foot away, pull it towards your glute, rolling the right shoulder open and maybe gazing up. Let's listen to 3 more deep breaths where you are. When you're ready to step back, if your right knee is bent, first straighten the right leg, keep the foot flexed. Then softly step into Warrior 2. With an inhale, sweep the left arm overhead towards the back of the room in a side bend, Peaceful Warrior. Exhale, lower to a Vinyasa, Cat-Cow, Child's Pose, or directly to Downward Facing Dog. You choose. When you arrive at Adho Mukha Svanasana, pause for 3 breaths. Notice what you're feeling in your physical layer, Annamaya Kosha. And in the breath, notice your energetic layer, Pranamaya Kosha. And in the mind and emotions, notice your mental emotional layer, Manomaya Kosha. Empty the breath, then walk or jump to the front of your mat. Let your feet touch. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Let your knees touch. Inhale into a high chair pose. Join your hands at your heart and rotate your right thigh externally at the hip. Flex your right foot and cross the ankle over your left thigh like a figure 4, sinking your hips back and down as you splay the right thigh open. So the action of flexing your right foot is to stabilize your right knee as we focus on opening into the right hip. Try to get your left knee to stack above your left heel rather than coming forward of the heel. A few more breaths. Optional to stay here or to take it into the arm balance called Flying Single Pigeon, where you place your hands flat on the ground, a foot ahead of your left toes, and bend the elbows back like Chaturanga, crossing the right shin on top of them as you tilt your weight forward and extend the left leg back. Whatever you're practicing, tune into your breath and how you're taking the reins of your mind. Taking your time, let's meet in chair pose and stand to Padasana. Pause for a couple of breaths. Re-steadying your breathing. Feel your feet touch each other. Then bend your knees together in a high chair pose. Join your hands again and turn out your left thigh at the hip. Flexing your left foot across the ankle over your right thigh. Draw your hips back and down to stack the right knee just above the right heel as you splay the left thigh open. Stay in this figure 4 shaped chair or place your hands on the floor, a foot in front of your right toes, if you'd like to practice the arm balance called Flying Single Pigeon, where you wrap the top of the left foot around your right tricep as you press off your upper arms with your left shin, easing ahead of your hands on the floor to tilt your chest forward. to help you raise the right leg to hover. Deep breath. Nice. Great variation. Yep, you can jump it through to a Vinyasa, but eventually meet us back in chair pose at the top of your mat, no rush. And from chair, standing in Padasana, pause a few breaths. Let's turn to face the wide width of your mat from here and step your feet parallel to each other, wide apart, preparing for a wide-legged forward fold. You could place blocks in front of you if you want to place your hands on blocks, but start with your hands on your hips and inhale, roll your shoulders back and down. Exhale, shift your weight forward as you hinge from your hips. Keep lengthening your spine into the feeling of a flat back. Lower your fingertips on blocks to the ground. And inhale, press your chest through your upper arms, lengthening the neck. Exhale, hinging from your hips, continue to fold to your capacity. You might slide the hands back and create chaturanga out of your arms, where the elbows stack right above the wrists and the palms are flat, fingertips facing forward. And if you're doing that and the top of your head reaches the ground and you're creating a triangular base, optional to lift your feet into tripod headstand. Also an option to keep your feet on the ground. You clasp your big toes and bend your elbows apart, folding in as you lift the shoulders away from your neck. Stay about 3 or more breaths where you are. Your feet are off the ground. Come back to a wide-legged forward fold. Then crawl your fingertips forward, lengthening your spine forward. Bend your knees generously and place your hands on your hips again, pointing your elbows up. Then firming in the belly, lift from your chest. Inhale to rise. Cartwheel your hands to the ground, optional vinyasa, or step directly to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, again, keep your hips leveled and inhale, raise your right leg back. Lift the belly high, exhale, see if you can kiss the right knee as you step the foot beside your right thumb. Spin the back heel down for warrior one, inhale to rise. Let's pause here a few breaths. Bend your right knee directly over the heel and plug the thigh bone back into the hip socket. Straighten your left leg entirely and press your outer left heel firmly into the floor as you rotate your left outer hip forward. And slightly lift your frontal hip bones. Relax the shoulders down. Palms together apart, steady your gaze. Bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape, and let's cross the right elbow over the left. Preparing for eagle pose. Press the backs of the hands against each other or wrap your forearms and palms. Steady your gaze just ahead of you and start to shift your weight onto your right foot. Turn out your left leg and flex the foot, wrapping the left leg around the right. You might be able to tuck the left toes behind the right calf. Bend your knees, sit a little lower as you stack your elbows and knees down the midline of your body, squaring both hips to face the front. I find this a helpful posture to practice concentration in. Right, you really gotta focus. Garudasana, eagle pose. Choose to either keep your arms in eagle or join your hands together at your heart as you unwind the left leg and tilt forward into warrior three, flexing the left foot, creating a horizontal line that traces the midline of your mat. Tilt the left hip to face the ground and tack the right hip back as you lift your navel towards your spine. Last 2 breaths here in Virabhadrasana 3. Step your left foot a shorter stance than you had in Warrior 1. Maybe about 5 or 6 inches shorter. Keep your hips facing forward and your legs straight. Now let's bring the hands to hips for a moment. Root down through toes spread and firm your quadriceps. Keep your right hand on your right hip just to keep both hips facing forward as you raise the left arm. Let's enter twisting triangle. Lengthen your spine, stand tall and breathe in. Hug the front ribs in and exhale, hinge forward till your spine is about parallel to the floor and tracing the midline of your mat. Choose to place the left hand on the left side of your right foot, maybe on a block, good place to start, or on the right side of your right foot if your balance feels pretty stable, deepening the twist. Keep your hips leveled and lengthen the top of your head forward. Press the shoulders down your back. Breathe in. Root down through your feet and without turning the pelvis, exhale, start to twist to the right. Rotating your chest, raise your right arm up. Harita Trikonasana. Twisting triangle pose. Each inhale, root down through your feet and stretch the spine forward. Yes, each exhale, spiral your right ribs towards the sky and your left ribs towards your right wall. Invite your shoulders and wrists to stack in one line. 2 more deep breaths. Gaze at your right big toe, lower your hands to the ground or blocks, and place your left knee on the floor. Let's enter lizard lunge. Step your right foot about 4 or 5 inches to the right and place both hands on the inner side of your right leg. Keep your right knee stacked above the right heel, hugging your right outer shoulder. So in this version, keep your right foot flat on the floor, but see if it's available for you to scoot your left knee back, bend it, and backstroke your right arm to catch hold of the top of the foot. More quadricep stretch. If it's not reachable, you could place your left hand higher on a prop, like a block on its tallest height, and or lasso the top of your foot with a strap. And then tilt your torso forward so you're not putting weight on your left kneecap, but you're putting it on your quadricep, the top of the thigh. You might have the capacity to come down into your left forearm or both forearms if you're not holding the back foot. Let's breathe here about 3 more cycles. When you finish this breath, let's meet in downward facing dog, optional vinyasa to get there. Keep your hips leveled. Inhale, raise your left leg. Lift the belly high, maybe kiss the knees, step the foot beside your left thumb, and drop the right heel. Warrior 1, inhale to rise. Bend your left knee right above the heel and plug the thigh bone back. Straighten your right leg completely and press the outer right heel down as you rotate your right outer hip forward. Lift your frontal hip bones, direct the tailbone down, and soften the shoulders down. Palms together apart, steady your drishti, your gaze. Let's prepare for eagle. Bend the elbows apart, then wrap the left elbow over the right. Backs of the palms pressing against each other or wrap forearms and palms. Steady your gaze ahead and shift all your weight onto your left foot, activating your belly as you turn out the right thigh, flex the foot, and wrap it over the left leg. Sit a little lower, maybe tuck the right toes behind the left calf, and stack your elbows and knees down the center line of your body. Breathe. Bring back your intention, an object of focus. Garudasana, eagle pose. Choose to either keep your arms in eagle or join your hands in prayer at your heart, flexing the right foot, unravel the right leg behind you as your torso parallels the floor in Warrior 3. Square your hips to face the ground and lift the navel. Draw the shoulders back. As we train the body to find stillness, even in challenging contortions at times, we help to train the mind to steady focus. When you're ready, step back to a shorter stance of Warrior 1. About 5 to 6 inches shorter stance than before. Bring your hands to your hips and turn both hips to face forward, both heels on the floor, legs straight. Keep your left hand on the left hip, raise the right arm, breathe in, stand tall, lengthen your spine. Hug your front ribs in. Exhale, hinge from your hips till your spine is parallel to the ground. Lower the right hand on the right side of your front foot, good place to start, or on the left side, going a little deeper into the twist. Tack the left hip back and inhale, stretch the crown of your head down the center line of the mat. Keep your hips leveled and exhale, turn your rib cage to the left. Raise your left arm up. Harita Trikonasana, twisting triangle pose. Each inhale, ground to your feet and elongate your spine from the pelvis. Each exhale, firm your outer hips towards your midline and rotate left ribs towards the sky. Right ribs towards the left wall. Gaze at your left big toe and lower your right knee, lower your hands on the ground or blocks. Lizard lunge, step your left foot to the left another 4 or 5 inches. Place both hands on the inner side of your left leg. Keep your left knee right above the left heel and hugging your left shoulder. Scoot your right knee back, maybe another inch or 2, and see if it's possible to bend it and backstroke the left arm to catch hold of the top of the foot. Bring it in closer. Remember, you could prop your right hand on a block and or lasso the foot with a strap. Maybe you come down onto your right forearm or both forearms if you're not holding the back foot. Let's listen to 4 more deep breaths. When you're ready, take a vinyasa if you choose, last chance to, or meet us directly in child's pose for a few breaths. Check in with your knees. Notice how they're feeling right now. A couple more breaths where you are. Place your hands alongside your knees and inhale to roll your spine upright. Let's prepare for back bends, starting in camel. Step your knees hips width apart. And if you have a block, great to use for stability for the lower back. So let's each grab a block and by the skinniest width, hug it firmly between your knees and thighs. We're taking 2 rounds of camel, so for the first round, let's tuck the toes behind. Have the heels to their highest point. Backstroke your arms to prepare your shoulders and place your hands on your lower back, fingertips face down. Keep your pelvis stacked right above your knees the whole posture. Hug your elbows closer together to broaden your collarbones. Draw the tailbone down towards the ground between your knees and lift the back ribs. Try to stretch the lower spine the whole posture. Inhale, lift your chest and roll your shoulder bones back and down. From right under your shoulder blades, tilt your chest up. If possible, backstroke one arm and catch the heel behind you to hold. Then switch hands or hold both heels. Notice how your lower back feels. You shouldn't feel any tension or pain in it. Otherwise, keep your hands on your lower back. Pressing your hips forward, keep them stacked above the knees. Breathe space across your chest. Ustrasana, 2 to 3 more breaths. When you're ready to come out, replace your hands on your lower back and contract your abdomen to lift your spine upright. You might use that block as a stool to sit on between your ankles. As you rest your hands at your heart center, pause for 3 breaths. Notice what you notice. Last camel pose. Take your block if you're using it. Hug it firmly between the knees and thighs. If you found you could catch hold of your heels and you want to explore going a little further into the back bend, you can untuck the toes this time. Backstroke the arms, hands on the lower back. Press the hips forward, lift the heart, and go right into it. 5 to 7 breaths of your count. Camel pose. We'll meet sitting and resting. When you've rested for 3 breaths, let's come down onto our stomachs for our last back bend, bow pose, Dhanurasana. So as you lie face down on your belly, slide your knees as close together as you can. Rest your forehead on the ground and bend both knees. Reach back to hold your inner or outer feet. Outer feet is a good place to start. Press your pubic bone into the ground and kick your feet away as you pull them towards your glutes, lifting your knees high. Coil your chest up from right under the shoulder blades. Hold for 5 to 7 breaths before you let go to rest. This is our last back bend. To support your lower back, keep your knees from splaying apart wider than hips distance. Lengthen the back of your neck by looking slightly down. When you've lowered to rest, you might make a pillow out of your forearms to rest your forehead, and maybe windshield wiper the shin side to side to help loosen the lower back if needed. Deep breaths. Plant your hands beside your floating ribs and press up to all fours. Let's come to sit with legs in front for our seated spinal twists. Extend your left leg forward and step your right foot on the floor, either directly in front of your right hip, outside of your left knee, and/or there, bend the left knee. Place the right hand behind your pelvis and raise your left arm. Root into the ground with your hips and your right foot. Sit up taller as you inhale. Right under the rib cage, twist to the right, and lower the left arm to hold your leg, or hook the elbow outside of the thigh. Breathing in, press into the earth below and lift the spine tall. Breathing out, soften your belly and allow your rib cage to keep turning. 3 more breaths. After this exhale, keep your legs in the same position and unwind your spine. Hug your thighs even closer together as we prepare for cow face pose, Gomukhasana, where see if you could stack your knees down your midline. If it tilts you off center, you could straighten the bottom leg and flex that foot. Raising your left arm, optional to hold a strap from it and dangle it behind you. Rotate your left tricep forward, bend the elbow behind your head. Then reach your right hand underneath to either grab the other end of the strap and walk your hands closer together or clasp your hands. Press your two sitting bones down and breathe in, lift up through the center of your spine. Broaden your chest. Exhale, start to hinge forward from your hips for about 5 full breaths. Root the pelvis, lengthen the spine, then hinge forward some more. Press down to your hips. Inhale, slowly rise up. Release your arms and your legs. Let's set up for the twist. This time, step the left foot in front of the hip or outside the knee. Maybe bend the right knee. Try to go for the same setup as you did on the first side. Left hand behind your pelvis, raise your right arm. Root down through both hips. Inhale, lengthen your spine. To your left, exhale, twist, then lower the right arm or hook the elbow outside the thigh. Keep sitting taller, continue to twist. As you empty this next breath, unwind your spine and prepare for cow face pose, Gomukhasana. Hug your thighs closer together and either splay the feet apart or straighten the bottom leg forward and flex the foot. Raise your right arm, maybe dangle a strap behind you from it. Rotate your right tricep forward and bring the elbow behind your head. Reach your left hand underneath behind you to either catch the other end of the strap and walk your hands closer together or clasp your hands. Press down to your hips, lift up to your crown and chest. Breathe in. Extend your heart forward as you fold, exhaling. Press to your hips. Inhale, slowly rise up. All right, this brings us to, which is going to be actually one of our peak pose that we've been warming up our hips and our knees to explore. So we're going to start with a half version of Lotus, Ardha Padmasana. So extend your left leg forward, rotate your right thigh externally at the hip. See what's available. You might start by placing the sole of the foot against the inner thigh, and that's Janu Shirshasana. Or you might need to flex the knee. No, if your knees are healthy, if you start to feel any impingement in the knee, don't go any further, back off, right? This can be very sensitive on the knees if you've got issues there. You can place the top of the foot on the crease of your left hip. And that's half lotus. You might use a strap around the ball of your foot here as we're going to fold forward. Some of you might add a bind with the right arm wrapped behind you and use your index and middle fingers to clasp your right big toe. Then you can hold the strap with the left hand or walk the left hand forward. So breathe in, sit tall, exhale, reach your sternum towards the outside of your left pinky toe. Root through both sitting bones, lengthen the spine as you breathe in. Exhale, keep reaching the sternum towards the outer left pinky toe. One more breath. Press to your two hips. Inhale, slowly rise up. Stretch the right leg forward. Rotate your left thigh externally. Start with Janu Shirshasana, sole of the foot against the inner thigh. Maybe that's where you'll go. Or You might need to flex the foot if there's any sensitivity in the knee. Make sure you're rotating from the hip socket, not from the knee, right? And bring the top of the foot to the crease of your right hip. Use a strap or add the wrap of the left arm behind you, clasping the left big toe with your peace fingers. Extend the right arm or hold the strap with it. Sit tall as you inhale. Hinge from the hips as you exhale, little by little, breath by breath. Aiming your sternum towards the outside of your right pinky toe. So I like to call it leading from the heart, imagining there's a string pulling your sternum towards the direction you want to fold. So rather than the head bowing or the head leading, it's the heart leading. 2 more breaths. Great breathing. Press down through your hips. Again, lead from your heart as you rise. Breathe in. Stretch the legs out. All right. If your knees are in a healthy condition, and so far so good, turn out the right thigh again and cross the top of the foot on the crease of the left hip. Option to do half lotus and keep sitting up, or to come into Sukhasana like the beginning, cross-legged seat. And then here, be mindful of the left knee as you rotate the left thigh from the hip and stack the top of the left foot on the right hip crease. Ground your sitting bones. And you might pause and breathe here. Maybe bring the index and thumbs to touch, palms face down for grounding, palms face up for uplifting energy. 5 breaths. Optional to hinge forward. Crawl the hands forward if that feels okay on your body. Or wrap, right arm behind you, clasping the left big toe, left arm behind you. Actually, right hand clasp right big toe, left hand clasp left big toe. Padmasana. If you're bowing, root through your hips and start to rise from the chest. Slowly unfold your lotus pose. And now we got to take the second side to stretch the legs forward, maybe roll out the ankles. Start with the left thigh, turn it out, stack the foot on top of your right hip crease. Maybe you stay here. Rotate the right thigh from the hip if you're going for both legs. Root down. Maybe chin or Gyan Mudra. 5 breaths. Stay upright. Or take it into a bind. Left arm behind you, clasp left big toe. Right arm behind you, clasp right big toe. And perhaps fold in. If you're bowing, root to your pelvis, lead from your chest. Breathe in to slowly rise. Stretch your legs out in front. And let's start to make our way into Shavasana. Splay the feet out wider than hips width. Maybe shake them out for a moment. And as you come down onto your back, you might turn the palms face up, rolling the shoulders into the earth. Close your eyes and let your body soften as you release control of your breathing. And stay completely present, awake and aware for the next few minutes in Shavasana. Let your body stay still for a few more breaths. And like we did at the start of this practice, I invite you to mentally scan your body, observing sensations. Notice your physical state of being. Let your body lead you into movement, starting with small parts, gently waking the body up. Fingers, toes, gentle turn of the head. And gradually rolling over onto your right side, resting your head on your arm. Pause there and notice the sensations of the breath, its natural flow. Through it, gather your energetic state of being. As you're ready, press your hands into the ground and slowly rise up. Find a way to sit for 5 minutes of meditation. Sit in a way in which you can feel grounded, alert, and at ease. Rest your hands in a mudra of your choice, like palms stacked, face up on your lap, or chin or Gyan mudra. Close your eyes or steady a soft gaze at eye level in one spot. And continue to let the breath flow naturally. Choose an object for your concentration, your intention for the practice, or maybe the sensations of the breath. As you notice your sensory mind being pulled to what's happening externally or even in thoughts and feelings, return to your object of focus again and again, as gently as you can, taking the reins of the mind. into your mental and emotional state. And notice the effects of your practice on your mind. What's one thing you can offer gratitude for now? Bring that to heart and maybe join your hands at the heart. Then again, state your intention for your practice in your mind. And invite your whole being to feel it into existence. Then remember to whom or what you dedicated today's practice to. Maybe take a moment to picture them receiving benefit from your practice. Together, let's close, chanting 3 ohms. And as you both give and receive that vibrational sound, let it be a reminder of your connection to creative life force energy that flows through all of us. Inhale deeply. Bow in towards the light within, Atman. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.